Sometimes you've got to create moments to help small business owners and their team be liberated from the chaos of working in their business. And on Thursday, September the 20th, we had the opportunity to have a room filled with over 100 small business owners and their team members. For what we do every 13 weeks is a special 12-week plan live event. And so I wanted to take you in on the inside. This is actually my opener. You'll see another recording after this one that is my buddy Jesse Cole, the owner of Savannah Bananas and Fans First Entertainment, who gave the keynote at this talk. And just for those of you who are relatively local in the Bluffton, South Carolina area, we do this every 13th week. And so check in, contact me, ask our team when the next one is, because you need to be there and you're about to find out because your work matters. So take a listen in to my opener at this event. Pardon the audio, it's a little rough. But I think you'll get the gist, and it should be just fine. And make sure you check out my buddy Jesse Cole on the podcast episode after this so you can see how to empower a team, and not just any team, but a team filled with hope-filled millennials. And I think you'll enjoy it, all in an effort to liberate you, the small business owner, from the chaos of working in your business. This is the Business on Purpose podcast.
Y'all come on in and get settled, and we're going to have an incredible morning. I've been so amped about this. Most of you are amped about this. Some of you are like, I don't know what this is. That's okay. Welcome if this is your first time. My name's Scott Beebe, and I have the privilege of being a part of a great little business called Business on Purpose. I'm going to tell you all about that here in just a minute. So a couple of housekeeping things real quick while we get started. And those of you who've been here know this is coming, right? Everybody take out your phones. Take out your phones. Let's put those bad boys on airplane mode. Airplane mode. Will anybody die if you don't answer your phone? If you qualify for that, then you can leave yours on. But if you don't qualify for that, just go ahead and turn those things on airplane mode. Science is now telling us that our brains, as much as we think they can, cannot do two things at one time. So we're going to be locked in. You've set aside a couple hours on a Thursday morning to be able to really be focused and locked in and hammer on your mission. So we're going to get started. I'm so pumped because some of you have been here before, some of you have not been here before, and you're going to get to see things, hear things, and experience things over the next 2.5 hours that I think could be powerful, could be moving if you let them be. So the next 2.5 hours is about mindset. And whatever your mindset is. So if your mindset's like, I gotta be here, then that's what you're gonna get out of it. But if your mindset coming in the room is going, I'm so glad I get to be here, then you're gonna get something different out of that. And so that's where I want your mindset to be. So formally welcome. 3.5 years ago, February 27th, I walked into this nondescript, really old, unrehabilitated building in Hurst, Texas, which is in the mid-cities between Dallas and Fort Worth. I walked in as the international administrator of a really small non-governmental organization called HELP. And when I walked in, I knew there was some turmoil brewing among the board of directors, of which I was not a member. I was just an employee, answerable to them. And so I walked in at 9 o'clock in the morning, Friday, February 27th, as an employee, and I walked out with 3 inches of snow on the ground. And so it looked something like this. It's not the exact day, but it's similar. So when I walked in, no snow. When I walked out 3 hours later, there was snow on the ground, and I was no longer the international administrator for HELP, completely out of the blue. Totally knocked off my rocker. And chaos began to just kind of settle and set in. So I walked in leading an organization. I walked out not having a job. 39 years old. Ashley and I have been married at that point about 17 years or so. Had 3 kids then, still got 3 kids now. And life's going. And all of a sudden, you just get knocked, and chaos settles in. I was talking with a heroic business owner one time out of Atlanta, and he challenged me on this idea of chaos. He said, you say be liberated from chaos. He said, but chaos will never leave me. And I thought about that for 7 days, and I realized he was right. Chaos is always around, but you can be free from it. And so on March 2nd, 2015, 3 days later, that fateful day was on a Friday. 3 days later was on a Monday. I called Chris Dalzell and I called Jarek Taylor. Buddies of mine, they kind of knew what was brewing a little bit, but my call they didn't expect. I said, hey guys, it was a rough weekend, but I think I'm going to start a business. And I think I'd like to coach you guys. And they were so kind, they were generous. That's great. Like, what do you want to coach us on? I said, I don't know. What do you need? And so we began this dialogue, and just a few weeks later, Chris ended up introducing me to his buddy, Justin Harvey. And within a few weeks, we had drawn up a whole module in this room. Some of you don't run away if you've been in that room. Some of you have been in this room in the cauldron of the vision story, writing that out about 3 years ago. It used to be, when we first started this, Mitch, you remember this? It used to be where I would lock business owners in this room, and I would give them candied almonds and fruit bars and water, and for 9 hours, 10 hours, we would craft the vision stories, some of them the same exact vision stories that you have and that run your businesses right now. And so out of that chaos came stories. And so now what happens, 2 years ago, before the Taylor's vision was fully implemented, Jarek had planted 52 palm trees out in Wexford with his own hands and sweat and blood and tractor and everything else. Well, now his team runs Taylor's, and it frees him up to be the pioneer to stay out in front of the business to see what's next. A few years ago, Shoreline just built houses. They built really nice houses. But now the team runs Shoreline, and now instead of just building houses, what they do is they host private candlelight dinners during an electrical walk while the house is still in its studs and completely blow the minds of their clients, freeing Chris up to stay out ahead of the business because of the vision. A few years ago, Premier just slapped stucco and, I'm learning, eaves and overhangs and hardy and stuff I don't even know what it is. They used to do that, but now what happens is the Premier team, based on the vision, runs the business, allowing Justin to pioneer and stay out ahead of the company. All that because they embraced this idea of vision, mission, values, all that because chaos was present and they decided to do something about it. So what you see when you look around this room, I've heard a couple of people this morning go, I didn't even know this existed. We didn't really either until a few months ago, and then we started hearing people use, I didn't start using this word by the way, people started using the terms BOP family, BOP community, and BOP stands for Business on Purpose. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's a movement that's kind of happening in town, and it can transform what's going on in this little town. And so the BOP community continues to grow, but not with initiatives that we're doing, it's with the stories that you're building. And that's even more fun, because we don't have to push that. Now, sometimes I have to push the business owners and the team members just a little bit, but we don't have to push the stories because you guys are building the stories. This is, for those of you who are new, this is our third straight 12-week plan live event. So we started this, I think it was back in March, then we had one in June. We've had events before, but this is the third time that we've actually brought all team members in so that you can have time to sit down and really drill down on these 12-week plans that you're going to work. Every time we've met, either for these 12-week plans or before, we've had one purpose, one vision, one mission, and that is, some of you can fill in the gaps here, to liberate small business owners from the chaos of working in their business. That's our whole goal. That's everything we do is to that one end, is to liberate you from your chaos. And the reason we want you to liberate you from your chaos is because chaos breeds confusion. And there are a lot of businesses that are still in that confusion. They want freedom from that. Chaos lends that feeling of, I feel like I'm being pulled in 17 different directions. One of the reasons I had you turn your phone off is because I want you liberated from chaos, and these are one of the biggest generators of chaos in your life. And I don't want you to feel that. Chaos means you have no clarity in your role. Chaos means you have no predictability in your communications as a team. And so today, what I want you to experience is I want you to experience freedom. That's our goal, is for you to have this freedom and realize that it's actually possible. Now, freedom doesn't mean setting something up, running down to Cancun and spending the rest of your days drinking Mai Tais. You can do that, you're just going to run out of money. Freedom means you take the gift that's inside of you, that you've been deposited inside of you, and you actually use it to the service of other people. That's freedom. I just had a talk on the back porch with one of my children last night, and we used this phrase. Hey, bud. Well, I just kind of narrowed it down to two. But anyway, hey, bud, do you realize that boundaries give you freedom? Boundaries give you freedom. And so part of the value of you being here is you're placing boundaries on yourself so that you have freedom to run. And when you have freedom, now you have clarity in your vision. When you have freedom, you have clarity in your role. You have consistency in your communication. That's why we're relentless about talking about team meetings, daily huddles, all those things that we talk about over and over and over again. You build camaraderie. When you're liberated from chaos, you can actually laugh. Like you can laugh, chuckle, And we can bring in guys in yellow tuxedos and have a great time. Guys, just to mimic Jesse, I'm wearing Chuck Taylors this morning. Just because I want to laugh a little bit. Because I want you to be free and have that story. And third event in the row, I want us to all agree with Nacho Libre.
He's the best. I love it.
That's right. It's one of our favorites. Third year in a row, we always find a way to bring him in. So I want you to learn to laugh. I want you to, with Nacho Libre, realize this is the best. I want you to walk away from a Friday after work week and go, dang, that was kind of a fun week. Because you're feeling that liberation from that chaos. And here's the most important thing. I want you to see that your work matters. When you do billables, that matters. When you do payables, that matters. When you do invoicing, that matters. When you do inventory management, that matters. When you clean up a job site, that matters. When you make a sales call, when you do a sales call follow-up, that matters. Your work matters, and it's important. I want you to see how ancient your work mattering is. This is a text from an old Jewish passage thousands of years ago in Isaiah. If you look at an English Bible, you'll find this. Isaiah 19:23, and you read it and you're like, I don't get it. So you see this about a highway, and you see this about Egyptians and Assyrians, and so there's a highway that's built, and it brings these sometimes warring communities together. Do you realize that when you do your work, what you're doing is you're building a highway for the connection of other people? And so when you run spreadsheet reconciliations, you're building a connection for people to come together. When you build a home, you're not just building a home. You're building a connection for people to be able to come together. So we've got to stop looking at our work as just simple tasks to be done so that we can get to the weekend. And we've got to start looking at our work as a gift that we've been given that we can serve for the connection of other people. When you broker a transaction, it connects people. When you pave a road, it connects people. When you run credit cards, it connects people. And so everything that we do serves as a way to be able to connect people. Today is important. The next 2 hours are important because you're important. And not in that Saturday Night Live Stuart Smalley, like I'm valued, whatever the statement was. Justin, you can probably quote it verse by verse. But not that way. I'm big enough, I'm smart enough, I'm strong enough, people like me, whatever. What I mean is you matter. What you do matters. Your work matters. How you serve your family at home matters. How you serve your community matters. And that's why this time, this morning matters, because it gives you an opportunity to realize the value of your work. So I want you to see that your work matters. Now, today, when we pass out those 12-week plans, and Jonathan's going to walk you through instructions after we're done with Jesse's time, which is going to be amazing. Then what we're going to do is you're going to build goals on that 12-week plan. And by building goals, you're going to build a better business. And by building a better business, you're going to build some of those connection highways. And by building those connection highways, you're going to serve people. And when you serve people, you start to change lives. I want to show you an example of a changed life. We get to serve some architects on a group coaching call. This was an email we just got a couple of weeks ago. And I want you to read it. It's from a lady who runs a very small architecture firm. So take a minute and just read that. So let me give you some context. This lady who runs this really small architecture firm, a couple $100,000 a year, that's about it. She decided to start back in the spring to implement some of the things that we teach that you guys see that we talk about all the time. And she just paid for her son's college tuition. She's a single mom in her 40s with 3 kids. And she just paid for the first semester of her college tuition. So because her work matters and she took it serious, now all of a sudden she can set her son up to go learn, to go develop, to go build because his life matters, his work matters. So because she did what she did, it connected her son to be able to do what he's been called and gifted to be able to do. I want you to see that your stuff matters.
I really hope you'll listen, because I promise it will help liberate you from the chaos that you're feeling. Make sure to go check us out, mybusinessonpurpose.com, or if you need some more insight, mybusinessonpurpose.com/webinar. We'll see you next time, right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.